Hey guys, welcome to the Hivemind. This is Anthony, the founder of the Hivemind. I'm on here with Daniel Martinez. He's the co-founder of the Hivemind, and we have a special guest for you today. We think it's a moment in history, so we wanted to share it with people. I have my friend on here. His name is James Kuntz, and he's out of the Austin area in Texas. As soon as he saw Hive, he joined up. He didn't have many questions. He said, "Send me a link." He popped on in. He sounded like he meant business. So we set up his marketing campaigns for him. And within a couple of weeks, or maybe in a week or so, he's had some pretty good progress. So we want to just bring him on here, chat with him, and let him know what his experience has been like with the Hive, kind of where he sees this headed, why he decided to join. But first, James, we'd just like to introduce you. And if you could just give us a bio on who you are, we would like, to Hive with you for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm James Kuntz. I work in sales. I've worked in sales my whole life, and really got interested in real estate investing a couple of years back, and met Anthony about a year or so back, and could tell that he was a genuine person, and was willing to help. And land investing was always interesting to me. I think my biggest thing, and in my sales career, the one thing I was missing with the real estate investing side of things is really just organization, right? And so calling through a Google sheet, and making offers and figuring out when to follow up and when the right time was, was a piece that I was missing, but that I've had throughout my sales career. And so really the CRM component, and the ability to stay organized has really helped me to get my first land deal under contract. So less than 2 weeks in, got a motivated seller on the line. Kind of sight unseen, we made an offer on the property, ran some quick comps, and was able to lock it up. So the only thing that needs to be done now is to get it sold here in one of the first probably snowstorms in Austin, Texas, in probably 100 years. So never turned down a challenge.
Have sellers been giving you trouble as far as your buyers, people like, oh, we'll go out there as soon as the snow clears and stuff like that, especially since it is during the snowstorm?
Yeah, it's they're just waiting for the weather to get a little bit better. But I see this opening up, and getting this deal sold next week, right? I think we got it at a really good price, and just by looking at land comps and running those, I think we'll get it sold as soon as next week.
Yeah, man, that was a fire deal. And I'm glad you got it early on, because I think maybe pivoting away from houses, or people are comfortable, hey, I'm after rentals, I'm after cash flow. I think we all get that. But I think about if you had cash flow for 800 or 1,000 or 5,000, or whatever the number is, if you do that over time and distance, spread out over 5 to 10 years, we look at, right, the speed of money, the velocity of money. If we can be into a deal for 2,000 or 3,000 and turn that into 150, then that's a pretty interesting dynamic. So even though we haven't done a million of those deals, we're, as a Hive, we're trying to keep our finger on the pulse of those types of deals. So I'm glad you got to see that right away, that what we're doing works, and I'm glad you've had some quick success. Is there anything else you want to mention? As far as like when you saw the Hive, what did you see in it that made you decide like, hey, this is something that I could pursue? Because from the outside looking in, you didn't know much about it. So what part were you looking for? Like, what were you thinking when you joined quickly?
Well, I think the thing for me was, I paid north of $10,000 for real estate investing education. And, the caveat to that is, they got their money up front, and, they didn't really have a vested interest in your success. Right. And so, what really kind of changed my mind, and, got me interested in the Hivemind was, obviously I knew Anthony, right. But, really the combination of, the systems and the mentorship, right? It's JVing, it's really focusing on, what can you provide? Is it time, or is it money, right? And so, what I had currently available was time to make calls. I've got a sales background, but not necessarily that you need it, right? And so I put in the work, and made some calls to some sellers, and was able to get a property under contract fairly quickly. And really, it's you got to put in the time. It's you got to be kind of addicted to the process, and you have to contact a certain number of sellers. It's a numbers game, right? To get an offer in, and to get an accepted offer on a reasonable property that you can make a profit on. And so that's what's been really interesting to me is having that single place to stay organized, and know when to follow up, and having a process, kind of set forth to get some deals done.
Man, yeah, congratulations, dude. I'm super excited for you. I've been thinking like, we designed the Hive with a certain type of behavior, certain types of systems and processes, in mind. And we said, worst case, this will be excellent for us. And I said this probably a million times over the last year or something. I said, even if everything else is terrible, at least we have an amazing CRM for ourselves, and we have an amazing process, like an in-house process. So now, if we can find people like yourself who are already, experts in their own regard, have a look at this thing, start using it, and then find immediate success, that's pretty cool, because that tells us that there's a pretty high probability that people are going to be able to duplicate this kind of success. And by no means am I saying that if you join this company or use our products that you're going to make $1 million. I'm just saying that it's pretty cool to see somebody like yourself just pop through the door, instantly catch the flow. You got it right away. And then so now I know you're ready to pivot maybe a little bit. So maybe you're going to start firing up your own marketing campaigns. I know we talked about maybe working with Gory out in Vegas. So I would like to know, what did you plan? Like, so you kind of got your bearings around it, you know how it works. We're focusing on duplication. So if you got, let's say now you got Gory to help you start making phone calls and helping you close transactions, then the Hive is working. I mean, it's doing what we designed it to do. So kind of what are you thinking next? Where are you going to pivot to? What do you think you're going to spend some time inside the Hive? And what's your vision now for the next, let's say 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think, really what I want to do is I want to set up some inbound marketing. So some Facebook ads to find motivated sellers that way. At some point I want to get to pay per click, but I think, one area that I can kind of, tackle more immediately is, other people are looking for help in real estate investing. There were people, at a place in the process, right, where I was, over 2 years ago, where they don't know much about, land investing or real estate investing in general. And so I can give, that value. I can get them to a certain point, and, they can kind of give their time. And so they can make phone calls, cold calls, and then, really, like, you can really hear the motivation on a motivated seller. And so, it's kind of easy to provide that help. And then they can tap on my shoulder and say, hey, I've got, a warm lead. They're looking to sell their property. This is the parcel ID or whatever it might be. This is what they're asking for. And I can kind of help run the comps and help them get the deal sold, get it under contract, and, help facilitate a buyer for the transaction. So it's really just using everyone's, strengths to, get a deal done. Right. And I think that's what this is all about. Is you don't have to know everything. You just have to be able to put in, like, you got to take your shot, right? You got to put in some time, if you don't have the capital, right? And so, really, I'm just looking to explore, different channels of marketing and sales, and leveraging, other people's time as well as my own to get the next deal done.
That's amazing, man. So I like how you kind of picked up on a lot of that, and it seems like you're headed in the same direction. That's what, I envision it again, something like, let's find a system that works. Let's teach it to the next man, and then let him teach it to the next man. And let's grow that way, instead of having 20 or 30 VAs and dispos and all these different people. Like, why don't we just teach our peers to do the same thing and then model the same behavior? And I've heard scarcity tactics or scarcity mindset. People might mention, what if you teach this to somebody, now they're going to be your competition? And I don't think about it like that. I think that if we found people, like you said, in a similar situation, who would like to learn real estate, or who would like to scale up their efforts, maybe experience better KPIs, things like that. Like, what if we can find the best working models all across the country, partner with all those people, and then do a ton of deals together over and over and over again? That's what I'm more interested in. So yeah, if you have 5 or 10 people that go rogue on you and they can't see the vision and they're not looking to partner, it's like, that's a long road anyway, so more power to them. But it's like, if we can build the biggest network of real estate investors across the country, the most aggressive network of real estate investors across the country, I think we're onto something. I think this could be huge.
I agree with you. And the way I think about it, Anthony, is it's better to have 50% of something than 100% of nothing. And, really, like, leveraging other people's strengths for those pieces to actually get a deal done. It's a little scary at first, right? But if you have someone within your network, like within the Hive, that can, help you get a deal done, by all means, any day, right? I'll split 100 deals.
Yeah, like you talked about that, right? Everybody's doing whatever their own strength. And I joke about this all the time. I'm sure everybody's heard me talk about it, that, as far as tech's concerned, I'm not very good in that regard. I'm nothing at all, zero. Like my brain doesn't like to go there. If I sat down, I could do, probably calculus. I could do extensive, things on the computer, but I'm not comfortable there. And where I feel very powerful is like on a high-end negotiations. If we're talking about properties that are worth 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, I feel happy talking about that. I feel fulfilled. I love looking at the properties. So I like to be in that kind of negotiation. Like I like to see what does it take to get into those types of properties. So that's what I feel like that's my strength, and I'm just going to stick to that. So if the Hive can, we can help them with lead generation, help them find these bigger deals, do a little bit of pre-screening like you did. And then if we can, get these things to contract and get them closed at scale, like I said, yeah, I think what we're doing is working. I'm glad that you're here with us and that, you kind of saw that vision. So we're looking to grow with you, and I hope we can have more of these types of conversations as we continue to scale this thing out and grow together.